welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live and we are out of the international lull. Well, we're very close. We're very, very close. We're near the end of the tunnel. We've nearly got all our ducks aligned and on their way home. Partey's on his way home if he's not home already. Tierney's on his way home. Mo, I think he's possibly on his way home. Tomiyasu on his way home. So it's good because that means that hopefully with a little bit of extra rest, they will be ready for the North London derby. I have Steve and Jerome in the room. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Very, very good. Looking forward to the derby the weekend and getting back to Premier League football. I can't stand international football, mate. It just does my head in. Can't do it. Can't put up with it, mate.
Definitely. And Jerome, how you doing today?
Yeah, all good, man.
All right. Let's get started. We've got plenty to discuss tonight. First of all, we're going to go back to when we was looked after by Raul Sanllehi. He's done a little interview for The Athletic. He's now currently at Real Zaragoza. And he said a few things about his time while he was Arsenal. He said he doesn't feel betrayed by the Broncos, and he says that the Kroenkes had the LA Lambs, the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Rapids, and all of a sudden teams could not play due to COVID-19 pandemic. So he's not bitter about it, which is very good of him. But he gets labelled for the Pepe deal, Steve. 70 mil for that deal. But do you think it was unfair that he's just labelled for that? Do you think there's other things that he done during his time which were beneficial to Arsenal?
Well, he was part of bringing Arteta to the club, and they do. He was involved in that and putting the dream team together, if you like. And as much as we. A lot of Arsenal fans didn't like Unai Emery. I personally was a fan. I thought he did well. He got us close to Champions League a couple of times. I think it was more down to the team rather than him. The reason why we didn't get Champions League football, we got very close. So no, I don't think it's fair to label him with the guy who bought Pepe in. He was there for a hard time. He wasn't at the best of. We wasn't in the best of places at the time. We was under people like, even Gadides, who's very difficult to work with at the best of time. But no, it's not unfair. It is unfair. But at the same time, I felt, during the interview which he had with the Athletic, I didn't like. I don't know how you guys feel, but it just came across to me that he was playing the blame game quite a lot on certain things, and if he was to stay, then everything would have been hunky dory. And there was a few things that I didn't agree with what he said, during that interview. So yeah, but to answer your first question, yeah, he wasn't a total disaster when he came in. He started to build what we have got today. Although I do think, at the end of the day, we may get more into it. I think it was the right thing to get rid of him in the end.
Jerome, there's a lot of talk about the bad things that Sanllehi done while he was at Arsenal. Do you think it's an unfair assessment of his time here?
Is it unfair? Well, the Pepe deal looms large over everything, doesn't it? That's probably what he's going to be known for. To be honest with you, he came to Arsenal mainly because of his contacts, because of his black book of agents, and I didn't really like that. So then I thought that we'd be signing players based off of who he knows rather than who's going to be the best player for our team. And also he mentioned that the structure would be different, whereby him and Edu, or him, was more involved in choosing the players, and Emery, the manager, just had to sort of coach them. And I don't like that structure. I prefer the manager to be heavily involved in signing the players, because he's the one that's got to work with them. It might work for some teams, but I just prefer the other way, where the manager calls the shots. And you know, imagine you're a manager and you get lumped with these players that you don't want, and you got to coach them. It's I don't think it should work like that. He was involved in the Tierney deal, which obviously has been proved to be a very good signing. Couple of Ceballos came. It's very mixed his time at Arsenal, but it seems as though him leaving so far is proving the right decision.
He must have been involved in the Saliba one as well.
In what one?
In the Saliba deal.
Oh yeah, fair play. Yeah. So yeah, definitely bought a couple of decent players, but that transfer fee is for Pepe is crazy, really. Yeah.
It's hard to not think when you think of Raul Sanllehi. It's hard to not think of the Pepe deal, potential backhanders that got done during that time. It is hard to not think of that. Look, I'm sure he done quite a bit of it while he was here. I think it would be harsh to just label him with the Pepe thing. And like you said, he bought in Kieran Tierney, he bought in Saliba. So there are a lot of good deals that he done there. But yeah, I don't know. And look, he helped bring together Mikel Arteta and the rest of the coaching staff. But he for me brought in Emery, and I weren't a fan of Emery. So you can leave that one. He also said, it's funny how, but I remember in 2019, I had dinner with four guys: Arsenal's newly appointed head coach, Mikel Arteta, technical director, Edu, Huss Farmy, and Pierre Mertesacker. On the toast, we said, now it's on us. Now it's exactly the model I asked for. If it does not work, we have no excuses. That's the team for me, a dream team at that time. Then in March, everything fell apart. So, look, you definitely feel sorry for him, because maybe it wasn't so much a case of he was going to go anyway. Maybe it was the pandemic that was that push. So it'd be interesting to see whether Arsenal would have got rid of him full stop. So that'd be interesting to know. He said, Sanllehi says the dream team of Arteta, Farmy, Mertesacker fitted the circular club management model he'd learned 2 decades while at Barcelona, and is now implementing it at Zaragoza. Now, I do understand the model that he's talking about with regards to you've got a director of football, you've got your Raul Sanllehi figure. It's a very European way of doing things. It's the way that a lot of clubs are working now. But with that, it is a whole process where it shouldn't really not have the manager saying it. It should have the manager say that's pretty much the final point, which is the manager say. You'll have the technical directors, director of football, scouts that are all scouting these players. The director of football and technical director are identifying players that fit the philosophy of the club, and then the manager comes in and makes a decision whether that he feels like this is the right player, the right temperament that will work for him, and the kind of player that he wants to work for. And yes, you will have players in that which are just brought in that the manager isn't necessarily picking, but that's the way things work, because the reason why they want to change it is because they'll be getting rid of managers, and players have been brought in under that manager. That manager then leaves, and then you've now got to get rid of that player that they may not have, the next manager doesn't want. So if they buy players based on philosophy and what fits the club, what suits the club, that's when they're sort of reducing the risk of having a player on the books that they don't actually want there. As you've seen at Man United, when you've gone through 4 managers and there's now a manager that doesn't want some of the players that are there.
I think it was well documented. I think that Emery wanted Zaha, and they signed Pepe instead. Costly mistake.
And I think he was too much. I think he wanted to control too much. You know, the way he was speaking in that interview, it was like, I wanted to do this. I was the orchestra. I'm the conductor. Mikel Arteta should be doing his club on the pitch, and basically you should be shutting your mouth up and getting on with that. Well, I didn't like that.
You've read into more with the shut up, and the Mikel Arteta bit is exactly what is a first team coach thing. It's a first team coach. He's just there to coach, and that's what a lot of coaches are nowadays. They're not managers. They're not to do what Arsene Wenger does, what Alex Ferguson does. And I think that's what, look, if you look down the road at Todd Bowley, part of the reason why he probably got rid of Thomas Tuchel, when Thomas Tuchel is a big figure in the club. Bowley wanted Ronaldo, he wanted whoever, and if the coach turns around and says, no, I don't fancy him, then you've got a bit of a, if I do bring this geezer in, is the manager going to play him? So, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's probably a tough one for owners. It's a tough one for managers. But I think with the modern game, we're seeing less and less managers making these decisions from top to bottom.
But he's more involved now, Arteta, haven't we? We've spoken a lot about now. Edu and Arteta are the 2 main guys who go out there and they've got to say. Kroenke's given them that say. So the whole thing of what Sanllehi wanted, this structure, has gone out the window. And I think Edu and Arteta, I think Kroenke's, that's what they wanted at the beginning, you know, because it sounds like Sanllehi was definitely a Kroenke man. He says that, you know, he got on well with the Kroenkes. I mean, at the time, the Kroenkes were a disaster. You know, it's only recently, over the last couple of seasons now, that it seems that since Edu and Arteta have now had more of a say in what goes on at the club, that now all of a sudden we're seeing more money put into the club. We're seeing our team get better. We're confident. We're sitting top of the league. We're confident about what we're doing. I know what you're saying. You are right. You know, most of the time the manager is, you know, doing what is on the pitch, and 9 times most of it, that's what you want. But I still feel at the time when he was there, he just wanted Edu and Arteta to do more or less nothing. That's the way it sort of come across. Just get on with that, and we'll get on with this. And I personally, I mean, I don't know. It's just hindsight, isn't it? I think if he was still in there, I would worry about that way of if he was right, if he had a big say in what's going on at Arsenal. I don't know. It just come across like that. But yeah, as I say, he's not to blame for everything, you know, at the time.
Yeah, no. If you look at the structure now, it's probably more like that. He says it's not. He said it's not the way he would have done it. They've broken the. What did he say? They've broken the. They've squashed it basically.
Yeah.
They've betrayed the model a little now, and says by going back to manager at the top, that's a mistake, but that's their mistake, and I would not have allowed that to happen. But it's fine, and it's working for them. With regards to that, I don't think he's right with regards to they've betrayed the model, because yes, they betrayed the model in the first place, but that was maybe potentially for cutbacks. But they've now since brought in Richard Garlick, and I'd probably say that Richard Garlick's doing as much as a job of what Eddie was probably doing before when Sanllehi was here, and Eddie's probably doing more of a Sanllehi job now that Sanelli's gone, which means the structure's still very similar. I just don't. I don't really buy into the fact that he's saying it's squashed. Yes, there's a name, there's a different title above Mikel Arteta's name, but yeah, I think that's probably more just because it's another footballing head in there. Potentially someone who's seen it at Man City and could implement some stuff here, which we've done there. I don't know. It's just me guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Jerome, would you change anything, or you just happy with the way it's going now?
Oh yeah, wouldn't change anything at the moment. Can't think of anything I'd change really. Manager's doing very well. Edu seems to be working well with him. They both seem to be sort of comfortable with each other. And following the Inside Howling documentary, that the youth setup seems to be going well as well. So
you've been watching that as well now?
Oh yeah, finished it off, mate. Loved it.
Oh yeah. The other day, innit?
Yeah.
Oh, quality.
Yeah.
It's
got
quality,
got the last episodes in. Yeah.
When it starts off with Charlie Patino as well, I thought that episode was really, that final episode was really, really good. It made it feel like when he was explaining how Arsenal's a family and that Charlie Patino would always be welcome there and he's proud of him. It was just like it was so true. It was like, actually, no, it is a family. And some of the things he was saying there is exactly what I think fans want to hear as well. So, no, once again, go and check out Inside Howland. If you didn't get enough of All or Nothing, have a go at Inside Howland. It's a definite decent watch. So, next up, before we talk about the North London derby, we're going to zip round quickly to Loan Watch. Just a bit of news on Marcelo Flores, Jerome.
Yeah, I think there was a report that, well, he hasn't been playing a lot recently for his team out in the second division in Spain, and I think Arsenal potentially looking at maybe bringing him back. And what I would say is maybe bringing him back, but then either sending him to another club perhaps, because I don't think he's going to be playing with our first team yet.
No, he's not quite there, is he?
Nah. If he was in the first, if he was in the Primera Liga, if he was in the top division, then maybe. But he's only playing in the second division, really. So a little bit of a similar situation to Miguel Aziz, who was playing down at Portsmouth, like in the lower leagues, wasn't really playing. They brought him back, and he's now I think they actually played against each other recently. Flores,
last week. He's playing for Ibiza, isn't he?
That's it. Yeah, that's not a bad move, is it? Going to like an Ibiza for a 18, 19-year-old. I don't know if that's the wisest thing that Arsenal have done, sending him out there.
Yeah, it's a test, though, isn't it? It's a definite test.
Yeah, he's got the big brother cameras all pointed in his direction, keeping an eye on him.
You wouldn't cross Mikel Arteta by going on a bender in Ibiza, would you? Yeah,
not these days. Not with social media and everything. Maybe you could have got away with it 30, 40 years ago, but not now. But going back to Flores, when you watch clips of him, he's a super talented player. The problem with him is always going to be he's he's quite lightweight, but like his movement's super good, like so sharp over like 5 or 10 yards. Great ball control, but look, it's good. Arsenal, obviously, they're being a bit selfish here, and they're thinking, look, if he's not playing, we're going to take control and we're going to decide what happens next. And obviously, that's good for the player as well. They don't want him to be out there and getting 20, 30 minutes once a week. That's not what they envisaged when they sent him out on loan. So let's see what happens in January when the window opens again.
No, definitely. He's definitely one player to keep an eye on. Be interested to see where they do send him off to next. Maybe a Holland, maybe even in England in one of the lower leagues. But he definitely needs game time, and it'd be an absolute waste of time if he just stays out there and like you said, gets 30 minutes, 45 minutes here and there. That's not Arsenal sent him out for. Arsenal sent him to get experience to test to see whether he's ready for first team football next season, hopefully. Because as Jerome said, he's a super talent. Already had 3 caps for the first team for Mexico, which is no mean feat at his age. Big game on Sunday, North London derby. Steve.
Go on, Steve.
Massive game. Tottenham are only a couple of points behind us. Arsenal still sitting top of the league, but it doesn't really mean anything. Only 7 games into the season, because one loss and it will all come crashing down. But how are you feeling about Arsenal's chances at home midday on Saturday?
These games, I'm normally very sort of sit on the fence, or I worry, about these games. But Kira, I don't know what it is. I'm really confident on this one. Really confident. I've watched Spurs. I've seen quite a lot of Spurs this season, and I can see us winning well, really, really well. Their results this season, they're playing well. That you said they're sitting third, but I've not been impressed as what some people are. I've looked at the games that they've won. They've sort of snuck under the line. Even when they played Chelsea, they should not have got a point there. And the reason why I think it's at the Emirates, and I think with the crowd behind us, I can see us getting 3 goals at least here. And you think, like, normally that is way over the top of how far I would go, when I'm giving a prediction for a game. But I just feel that with our attacking players and their defence, I think we can. I think we can do them a lot of damage, especially when you think of Jesus, and they've got like Dyer and Romero. I can just see him giving them nightmares. I just think he's going to score. He could even get an hat-trick for me. You got Perisic, good player, but what is he? He's the left back, isn't he? Saka, we see Saka, against Germany when he come on that when he come away from being left,
game,
he was absolutely on fire. And I'm telling you, if there's any Tottenham supporters watching out there, if Saka plays that way against Perisic on Saturday, it's good night. It's good night, because with him on one side, with Martinelli on the other, I mean, who would he be up against? Who? Emerson Royale? I mean, the way Martinelli's playing, their defence, I just think cannot handle our attack. I just can't. Look, they've got Son, they've got Kane. We know they're going to be a danger, and Kulusevski as well, and we know they're going to get stopped, but they've got to get the ball to him first. And the way our midfield players and the way our strikers are playing, mate, I'm sure you're going to have loads of other questions to ask going on, so I don't want to answer them. But I'm really, really confident, mate. Really confident.
All right, Jerome, what's your thoughts on the game right now? Tuesday, not playing until Saturday. Should players coming back early? A few rested, hopefully. But what's your thoughts about the game?
God, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous already just thinking about it.
No, don't worry about it. It's easy.
It's strange because I sort of feel a bit like Steve. I feel very, very confident going into the game, but I know that as soon as I sit on the sofa to watch it, that the heart's going to beat a bit faster, and you're going to feel those nerves. And it's like you watch the game sort of holding your breath. You take like a bit of you breathe out, like if the ball goes out of play or something, and you can like gather yourself again. I think it's good that those Brazilian boys haven't gone away and they've got a good rest. Let's see what happens, whether it was a rest or whether they haven't been selected for Brazil. We'll find out soon. Odegaard seems to have played as well internationally, so that's a good sign. And the manager could have some decisions really with who he selects, because Vieira played very well the other day. But obviously, maybe it being a derby and that type of atmosphere, maybe he'll probably will go with Odegaard if he's fit. But yeah, feeling really good, and I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game because we're going to have a lot of the ball, and I think eventually, whether it's early or late, I just think we will break them down. I think they are very good defensively, Spurs. It's obviously Conte's forte, but I think we've got more options than we had last year. And last year, we done very well against them, didn't we? Especially early on, like with a quick start. It's been, it's going to be an early kickoff, so I'm sure the crowd will be up for it. It's was it 12:30 kickoff, I think so. Sometimes, the crowd can take a while to get into those type of games, but I'm sure on Saturday it won't be like that.
No, I'm sure they'll be ready. The atmosphere in recent times, like the last few games at home, have been electric. You can even hear it from the TV, but when you hear what people are saying who are at the ground, they've been saying it is absolutely rocking. So I think this has to be the best atmosphere that we've had at the Emirates so far since we've been down there. It's got to be the feel good factor at the moment at Arsenal with the fans. Everyone in the stadiums on side. We've got a new song. Like, it's going to be absolutely buzzing down there. The ground is going to be shaking. And hopefully we put that atmosphere on the Tottenham players as well. We make sure it's a cauldron. Like, turn it into one of them Turkish grounds, like proper horrible to play in for the opposition. Like, boo, hiss, everything. I don't want no niceties to Tottenham. Like, we've got to start make this a fortress. Make it horrible for oppositions, not the nice Emirates that everyone wants to play at. All right, let's quickly go to injury news. Now, one place I was looking at injury news earlier on, it was saying that Arsenal could potentially have up to 8 players out. But then reading through that whole article, all they kept on saying was injury-prone, injuries, and with his injury record. So that article was just basically looking to scare the crap out of Arsenal fans, I think. So I've gone to some more reliable sources. So Partey didn't play against Brazil, but that was a caution. And the Ghana coach actually said that it wasn't worth taking the risk for a friendly. So if they needed to play him, he would have played, but it wasn't worth taking the risk of the friendly. And Arsenal actually spoke to Ghana's national team beforehand. They had meetings, Edu and the national team coach, basically to sort of run through what's best for Thomas Partey with regards to playing for club and country, because obviously he wants to represent his country. He's going to the World Cup soon, so he's got to be fit and ready for that. But he's also got to be fit and ready for Arsenal, because if he doesn't play for Arsenal, he doesn't go to the World Cup. So they've got to work together on it. And I think they had an agreement where basically if Thomas Partey plays the first game, he's going to come home for the second game anyway. They didn't want to risk him for the first game, and it's understandable. What's the point in risking him this close to the World Cup, this close to, it's no point. Like, whatever they would have thought, whatever people think, it may not have been Arsenal, but they would have been thinking there ain't no point in a little niggle. There's no point in injuring him this close to the World Cup. So Thomas Partey's back. Mike Odegaard's back, as Jerome mentioned earlier. He played and scored. It looks like Emil Smith-Rowe may be out. It could be too early for him. Mohamed El-Neni is still out. Reece Nelson's still out. Kieran Tierney also came back, but he's currently being assessed. He's currently at 75%, and it looks like Zinchenko would be too soon for him. But I think his national team coach already stated that he's going to be out 2 weeks after the international break, which Mikel Arteta wasn't too happy about. Steve, with that, is there any worries there? Are you okay with that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, as you say, the only really real doubt, it sounds like, are Zinchenko and Emil Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe hasn't been playing anyway, so you can't really say he's got a miss, although he is a miss to the squad. And obviously, when I heard Kieran Tierney got injured, I was like ready to come on in here tonight and say, "That's it. He's got to go. I've had enough. He's got to be."
Yeah, no, he didn't get injured.
And when he said, "Oh, he's got concussion, he's got an head injury," I thought, oh, thank God for that. Thank God for that. And then I sort of stepped back a bit and thought, yeah, but I don't mean that bad or anything. You've got a concussion or something.
Yeah, no, but a lot of the papers are playing on the fact that these players have had previous injuries or they're injury prone because Tomiyasu played against America, had a really good game, again, came back, but this was due to the fact that we could potentially be running low on players, so Japan did us a favour and sent him back, goodwill. But the papers still said, oh, he got sent back early because of injury. Yet later down in the article, you're saying that it was sent back just because to help out Arsenal. They are. So right now, they know the North London derby is coming up. They know there's a lot of fans worried about who could potentially play. And it's a lot of clickbait around. So just ignore it.
That will be interesting with the Tomiyasu thing. I mean, maybe they've... with Ben White not going to England and Tomiyasu, I suppose every player's always has a word in their ear about when they go on, especially friendly matches, and Tomiyasu being allowed to go, or maybe Arteta not being too strict on him going or not. So it's going to be interesting anyway. All that just coming away from it, who he plays on at Ben White and Tomiyasu at the weekend. But just going back to the injuries. There's no problem there whatsoever. I would have been. We've just mentioned Saka, and we mentioned about him having a great game for England, and he did. But I would have thought he would have been rested to be, because he's still that player. Or if he got injured before North London derby, so I was quite strange that he was allowed to go or at least play. But that was a strange one. But no, look, I'm really confident. We've got to hope Tierney's all right. We're saying about the injuries there. As you say, it's concussion. You don't know. I don't really know what the time frame is these days now on how people should, because it's the law now, isn't it? That they've got to have a certain amount of time before they can play again. I'm not too sure how long that is. So if Tierney's not playing, what do we do then? Then we are in trouble. So I suppose if anything, on the injury front, Tierney's the worry. He needs to be fit. Tierney needs to be fit, because if Tierney's not fit, we're back to Xhaka at left back again, and that's not good, and that's not good, and that's my worry with. I know it's concussion, and I know it's a totally different injury to what he normally has, Tierney. But I still get that worry about Tavares, who's gone out to Marseille. This scenario, this frightened me. This did, and more or less, it was the papers that frightened me. When you read about it, they frightened. But when I read, further down the line, when you read about it, it wasn't as bad. But he needs to be fit here, and because that will be trouble if he's not fit.
Who did they play? When did they play? They played on... was it against Ireland he got concussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 6 days. It's 6 days that you have to be out, so he's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's for the concussion, he's okay to play. But I'm sure they just do tests to see whether he's actually okay, whether he's actually still concussed. But
just him. And look, and Partey, but we've said he seems fine. So
yeah,
Partey, we see how important he is. When he doesn't play, we do miss him. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. Jerome, any of them injuries worry you, even though it looks like they could be just precautions, a lot of them, but the reason why they've been sent home?
I think it's mainly, like you've said, I think it's mainly Tierney, because if Tierney and Zinchenko are both out, I don't know who they'd play at left back. I really don't know what they would do. Partey's a funny one, because the knee is a very complicated part of the body. And so I know it was precaution, but it hasn't been totally cleared up yet. But I'm sure we'll find out over the next few days. Yeah. What's going on with Partey? Tomiyasu hasn't really been playing much, has he?
No, but he did play against the USA, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And he had a good game as well, so they said.
Yeah. It's great that a lot of our players have had rest. The goalie, Ben White. I can't believe Ben White didn't go away with England, to be honest.
What did you make of Ramsdale? Because Pope played both games for England. Now, with Pickford out injured at the moment, we don't know how long his injury is going to be. What was your thoughts on Ramsdale not playing at all?
Man, well, he obviously prefers. What I think is he prefers Pope because he didn't even play once. He didn't play at all, did he, Ramsdale? I'm not sure. I'll tell you the frustrating thing for me with the England thing, just because it's related to Arsenal, is has Southgate watched any Arsenal games over the last couple of years to see which position Saka plays in? Because he's one of the most devastating right wingers in the country, and he's playing in at left wing back. So I don't. He's got a very simple job, Southgate. He doesn't have to sign any players, doesn't have to negotiate any transfer fees. He just has to pick the players, put them in the correct positions. Not going on too much, but they're talking like, is it Saka or Foden? Like for me, Saka and Foden is like Saka and Odegaard. They can play.
They play together.
Because Foden is top draw. He's a
man comes out for me. Man comes out for me. I know he scored, but man comes out for me all day.
You're right. Like, why is it Foden or Saka? Foden and Saka would be devastating.
Because the
link-up play, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like keeping to the Arsenal thing, Ramsdale. There's 2 games. Ramsdale didn't play one. You've got Pickford, who could potentially be out. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. But Pickford's kicking game isn't the best. His long kicking game's good. His short kicking game's not very good. Yeah. Whereas Ramsdale has both. Like, this is a prime opportunity to play someone with good footwork in these games to see what he's about. Like, it really didn't make sense to me. Nick Pope's a shot stopper. He's a good goalkeeper, but he's a shot stopper. And he's also a man who has to be at a team who's constantly getting. He's constantly in the game. Name me a games when Nick Pope for Burnley in the last 4 years hasn't had 5-6 shots to save in a game. Whereas with England, you may be quiet for 50, 60 minutes. Yeah, and then you've got to pull up a save. Then you've got to make a catch. Then you've got to be on your guard. He was getting peppered yesterday, and he still made clangers.
Yeah,
like, some goalies look good because they're busy. It's a little bit like Richard Wright was at Ipswich, and we signed him. He had a lot to do at Ipswich. Arsenal signed him, and unfortunately, he was just a bit of a level above him.
Yeah, well, when it got too quiet, Richard Wright made things to do. They gave Headway 2 pens. Like, bro, are you sure?
I think Ramsdale's on the plane. I think I look at it a little bit different. The fact that for me, Ramsdale's on the plane. For me,
but he won't play. He won't play, will he? He won't play.
I don't think there's any shadow of that. I think, looking at that, as you said, it's quite baffling why he played him twice. For me, the only possible reason it can be just 2 reasons. It could be that Arteta's had a word with Southgate and said, look, take Ramsdale out there, get him round the team because he's still pretty new to the squad, get him round the Players' World Cup to come up, all that social stuff. Or the other reason is that he's not sure who his third goalkeeper is. He's not sure whether it's Pope or whether it's Henderson, and he wants to take a good look at Pope. I don't know what he's got to see from Pope that he's got to play. I don't know. I'm just saying that possibly could the reason, because there can't be that many other reasons why he's playing him. For me, I think the more likeliness is that Ramsdale's on the plane. He's the number 2, and Nick Pope and Henderson, he's not sure of. And he's obviously he feels he's seen a lot more of Henderson, which I think he's been in the squad more, played more games. I don't quote me on that. You'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I think Henderson might have had a cap. I'm not sure.
Yeah, where Pope, I don't remember him playing too many games for England at all. I can't.
I think this is Pope's third cap.
Yeah, but That's what I think anyway. If I had to put some money on it, that would be my guess.
Yeah, for me, there's no doubt that Ramsdale is on the plane. There's no doubt there. I just think, yeah, maybe he needs to see Pope, and whether it was a case of Pope or Henderson. But not for me. I don't think you need to see Pope for 2 games. I think you saw Pope, what Pope was about in 1 game. Potentially the Germany game, you didn't really need to see essentially. And I just think with Nick Pope, you're getting what you see at Newcastle. You're getting a very good shot stopper. He had a clanger. He's not very good with his feet. Like Nick Pope is not a footwork goalkeeper. He's a make pull off weldy goalkeeper. So you'll be interested to see where they do go with that. Sorry, Jerome. Back to Arsenal. Any other issues? You saying Tini is one worry, because if there's no Zinchenko, no Tini, then we're in trouble. Worried about Thomas Partey?
Yeah, unfortunately, even when he's fit, it's always going to be a worry in the back of your mind with Partey, just because of what's happened in recent times with him. And it's not very clear. Like, I think it's weird for someone to hurt their knee. Like I said, a very, very complicated area of the body, and it's not clear what's happened. So, yeah, until we see him sort of pictures of him at training going full tilt in the bibs, then I'd be a bit more calm about it.
Yeah, I agree, Melvin. Why not change the keeper? So, Steve, we've got potential players out. We've got with those thoughts in the back of your mind, who do you think is going to be vital for Arsenal going for this game on Saturday?
I think our left and right backs got to have very good games, especially with Kulusevski and Son. Ben White has got to have another Zaha type of performance like he did at the beginning of the season, because he's going to be worked. He's going to be worked hard, and that's where a little bit in the back of my mind thinks, will Arteta think maybe about playing Tomiyasu, but Ben White will be fresh. And also on the other side, Tierney, I think Tierney's going to have a very, very good game again, because what side's Silvestri? Kulusevski
goes. He plays right, doesn't he?
That's right. Yeah. He'd be up against Tierney, but either or, it's the same scenario. Either side, those two have got to have excellent games, because Tottenham have got very good wide players, so they're going to be very busy. They're going to have to be on it, and the midfield's going to be very important. And I pray Partey's playing. I really do pray he's Partey. I like Sammy Lokonga. I really do like Sammy Lokonga. Part of me, I was going to say maybe play someone else in there, but that's probably too risky. I'd love to see Vieira and Odegaard play together. Could you bring Xhaka back into that DM role just for this one game if Partey's not fit? If he's not fit, I don't know. I'd love to see it, but as I said, maybe too risky. I think Thomas Partey, if he plays, he's going to be massive. He's going to be massive. They're not bad in that midfield. They've got Bentancur in there. They've got Højbjerg in there. It's going to be rough. It's going to be dirty in there. There's going to be kicks. Xhaka's going to have to keep his temper. It's just luckily that he plays that little bit more forward now, so maybe he'll stay out of trouble a little bit more. There's a lot of players in the team who's going to have good games. But if you're asking me to pick one player, I think our forwards will just go and do their business. I'm not going to say any of those. I think if we got the team that we want out there on Saturday, with Partey and Xhaka and Odegaard, for me, Thomas Partey is massive. Thomas Partey has got to have a massive game. So I hope he's fit. I hope his knee's all right. I'd worry a little bit if Lokonga was in there. So I'm going to go with Thomas Partey, mate.
All right. I'll get you to pick your starting lineup in a sec. So get that ready. Jerome, who do you think is a key player?
I don't know about a key player, but a key man. They need to get Stuart McFarlane into the dressing room before the game.
Yeah,
give another team
again. Do it again, part 2. I'll tell you that right now, 100%. I'm with you there, mate.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think we're going to have a lot of the ball, aren't we? And I think it's about when they break, can we either stop these counter attacks or defend them very well? And I think the two centre halves, Saliba and Gabriel, I think they got a massive game on Saturday because they're playing against one of the best strikers in the world, aren't they? So let's see what Saliba's like against Harry Kane. I think that's going to be a very good, fascinating watch. And if our defence has a good game, then I think that's it. Then I think we win the game. So yeah, I think Saliba and Gabriel, two of them, massively important on Saturday.
Yeah. Be interested to see how they go up against Son and Kane. On Zinchenko. Do you think he was potentially brought back too early for that Man United game?
Yeah, possibly. I think he celebrated one of the goals, didn't he? As well, he sprinted up the line. Was it the Villa or one of the Villa or Fulham game? He celebrated one of the goals when he wasn't playing. I don't think. Yes.
He's going to do that every game, though. He's just that kind of person, isn't
he? Yeah.
He's always been like that.
You'd like to think these days they've got enough medical information to know that you can play him in this game, but you're going to risk. You're going to, you might be able to play this game, but then you're going to miss the next 3, and they got to be clever.
I think it's where the players have got to be honest in those situations as well, because when you've got a bad injury, yes, it's going to be very obvious for the medical staff, but when you're recovering from that injury and it's just a case of does it feel tight, does it feel this, that's going to be the player. The player's going to have to tell you whether it feels tight, if there's getting any discomfort, it's got any pain, or if there's any swelling afterwards. That's fully down to the player. If they're going to keep that secret, as we know, Kieran Tierney done it himself last season, and to the detriment of us, because when he did go out, he was out for the rest of the season. He was out for like 2 months. So I think this is where players need to just maturity comes in. It's not necessarily about you making sure you get your game time. It's about making sure the team win and what's best for the team.
Yeah. Was Tierney on the bench against United? Was Tierney on the bench?
Yes, he was on the bench against United.
Yeah, that could be a dodgy decision then.
Yes. Yeah, it was an interesting one at the time. But yeah, didn't think much of it because look, the way that Zinchenko was playing, I think everyone wanted Zinchenko back in the team, so there was not really many complaints. But we've now gone to see that since then he's now been out for a further 4 weeks or 3 weeks. So there must have been something that he was either holding back or something that's twinged again. Steve, what's the starting lineup that you'd go with?
Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, obviously Kieran Tierney, because we know Zinchenko's out. Right back, Tommy Ashley or Ben White. Oh, this one's been playing in my head all day, and I probably won't come up with an answer that's probably I'm going to be absolutely 100% sure of until probably halfway through the game. But I'm going to say Ben White. Because I don't think he deserves to come out, and I think Arteta will play him in the midfield. Obviously, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, Granit Xhaka, and up front the Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli. And if you play that team, I think we win the game, mate. I think we win the game.
All right, Jerome. What's your starting lineup?
Yeah, that's the favourite. I think the lineup that Steve just mentioned, because that's the team that's been playing. especially if he can't pick Zinchenko. That would have been a talking point, Zinchenko or Tierney. Ben White, Tomiyasu, again, could have been a talking point, but he's played Ben White every game. And he's had the rest.
Yeah, and do you think it would be not just fair, but do you think it would be right for the team to bring in Tomiyasu, or do you think that Ben White has done enough to hold down his spot?
Yeah, he's definitely done enough because he's played brilliantly, but at the same time, Tomiyasu is excellent. He's top draw, Tomiyasu. So
he's starting to get back into full fitness as well now.
Yeah. I just can't see him taking Ben White out at the moment, so I think he'll stick with it. The midfield picks itself if Partey's fit, and so does the front three. And as well as Vieira played against Brentford, he's not going to drop his captain if he's fit. So I think that's the team he'll go. I'll be very surprised if there's any changes to that team, to be honest.
Yeah, just Johnny says Gabriel Key for me is important. He plays as well. Stick with what it's been working unless injuries dictate otherwise. That would be my way. Simon said, just imagine if Arsenal actually get 6 points from Tottenham and Liverpool, not talking about title change, but very good positions for top four. No, it's definitely 100% right. And I think that's what a certain section. To be fair, it wasn't even a lot of our fan bases. A lot of other people's fan bases were talking about how it was not embarrassing, but a letdown that Arsenal didn't finish top four last season. But we was all a bit sort of miffed about it, but it wasn't that deep because we set our target for the start of the season was to get back into Europe, and we got that. So yeah, and I think if our target's to get top four this season, look, if Arsenal end up in a title, not even a title chance, I don't even want to say it. If Arsenal end up coming towards the end of the season with 10 games left, and there's still a mathematical chance that they are still within a shot of the title, I'll be very happy if we just end up getting top four. Like, it doesn't even matter. It wouldn't even bother me because we're well ahead of schedule. We are well ahead of schedule. So, yeah, and I think we definitely have to remember that. Steve, Tottenham's threat, we all know Son, Kane. I think Kane scored in 13 of 15 North London derbies. Son scored, I don't know how many times Son scores past us, though. Kulusevski, Bentancur. They've got a solid team at the moment. Where's their biggest threat, and how do we stop that? Who stops that?
Yeah, I mean, their biggest threat is for me. I joke about Son, but I think this is the guy that's got to be stopped. He will have to be stopped. If he's on top form, if he's playing like the way he did against 2 weeks ago, against he's their bigger problem for me. Even a bigger problem than Harry Kane. In some respects, because Son can do. I know Harry Kane can do everything, but Son can do everything. He's a special player on his day. I just hope we can go back to the last 10 games and those 3 goals he scored against Letters was just a one-off, not a one-off, if you know what I mean, but just a one-off this season or something. But and he goes back to the way he's been playing. But he's going to be paramount to be stopped, and that's why I've never had a slightest bit of doubt in my mind that Ben White should start and should keep a proper team. But there is a little bit of doubt when I keep thinking to myself, would Tomiyasu deal with Son better than what Ben White would? This is the question Arteta's got to ask himself, and I think in these really, really big games. I know Ben White's done well against Sahars and other right wingers, but when you're playing the teams against Spurs, who've got the players of the quality of like Heung-min Son, there's definitely, he has to sit down in his office and he has to have a good think, and he has to think about that training session that week leading up to it and make a decision who he feels is best to put in that place. So yeah, Heung-min Son for me, they're very good in midfield. I tell you a player I really like for Spurs, and that's Bentancur. He's one of these players who's a bit of a hung-sun hero. He doesn't really get noticed or mentioned that much, but to me, I like him a lot. He's very good on the ball. He never hardly makes any mistakes, and he loves it. He loves to tackle, which is something that I always like in a player. So that's going to be our problem. We're going to have to stop him from getting on the ball and pushing those flying them balls out, because he's very good at pushing. Once Bentancur's stopped, then he won't be spraying those balls out to Kuleveski one side and Heung-min Son the other side, because if those two get the ball, then that's when they cause their own problems of their own, and that's when they can supply Harry Kane. We need to get Harry Kane coming deep. We need to get him pulled back and come into this like we did last season at the Emirates. Harry Kane spent most of the game in the centre circle. That's what we need to do, mate. Their defence, I worry about. I think if we can get 60% of the game, plenty of possession, I think we'll rip their defence. But
all right, Jerome, they're threats. We all know they're threats, but how do we stop them?
I think just by having the ball. I think just have as much of the ball as possible. I think the set pieces is going to be the dangerous from set pieces as well, aren't they? Dyer tends to nick a couple of goals against us. But yeah, I think we play the way we've been playing, and you just limit those sort of chances that they have, basically. So you make it that they have like one chance, and they have to score that chance. So yeah, if they play the way they've been playing, Arsenal, then we've got a very good chance of coming out of this game with a positive result.
And our attacking threat, Gabriel Jesus is that man that's going to be picking holes in them, yeah?
Yeah, I think all of them are going to be bang. I mean, Martinelli's up for every game, isn't he? But
yeah,
he's played before in derbies, Martinelli, but never when he's been such a prominent part of the team.
True.
Like, I don't think he played in the one at the Emirates last season. Yeah.
It's Smith Rowe and Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Aubameyang, Smith Rowe, and
Saka.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him, because I think he's gonna have the time of his life on Saturday.
He's just electric at the moment, isn't he? He's just 100 miles an hour, but like a little bit more composed than he was when Arteta said he's 200 miles an hour too much all the time. He's had a little composure to that, but he's just relentless, non-stop. You'd hate to play against him.
I'll tell you what, it's not a nice topic to talk about and stuff, but like how many times is he going to get kicked before one of their players, before the ref has a talking to one of their players? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we'll have loads of the ball get kicked off the park, then we'll do a foul and we'll get booked. So let's see what happens with all. With that as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, fortunate for us, but we have got two wingers that are blessed with pace and very good dribbling. Martinelli, he's a brute as well, so people feel like the only way to get him down is to hack him, and he holds his own. But yeah, I agree with you. I do worry it's going to get to a point, because we've seen some naughty ones on Martinelli as well. Saka not so much anymore. He was very quick to go to the referee, which he got dug out about. But since then, I've not noticed too many that have been harsh. He does get chopped, but I'm not seeing some of the ones that I saw before, which were starting to get naughty. So sometimes it does take a little word in the referee's ear just so they know to watch out for it. And I think it actually done him some good.
Referee's got to have a good game, isn't he, Kieran? Referee's got to have a good game. We're saying about key people on the pitch. The referee's got a good one. And just before you go on, mate, we got to keep our heads. We don't.
We do.
We don't want to start you know, we don't want to be off at the end of the first half and coming out with 10 men or what at any point in the game go. But because Gabriel, Xhaka, even Jesus, Tierney, we've got plenty of people, or even Thomas Partey. You know, we have got players who have got a little bit of red mist, which is good. You don't want to take that out of their game because it makes them the player you are and it makes us the team we are. But in these type of ones, you need a very strong ref, and you just need us to keep their heads. I'm praying they keep their heads.
Yeah, well, luckily we've got two players there that have probably matured most in the team in Granit Xhaka and Gabriel, because I've seen once this season and once towards the end of last season where Gabriel got a yellow card early and then didn't get the second yellow. Last season, Gabriel was getting a second yellow without a doubt. We've seen how much Xhaka's matured as well. So I just think they're more self-aware now. So I think that's a good thing. Before we go, Steve, give us your score predictions.
Yeah, if everything goes to plan, if everything goes to the way that, you know, we've been talking about all through the show, I think we're going to win. I think we'll win well, and I'm going for 3-0. I'm going for 3-0. As you said, you know, the crowd. We've never known the crowd like this. You know, at the Emirates for since 2006, when the Emirates first opened. We moved from Highbury. The atmosphere is incredible now. Yeah, we need to make this a fortress. I think we need to start fast, which we generally do in every game. If we do that, take control of it. Yeah, I think we can go on, win well, 3-0.
All right, Jerome, what's your score prediction?
Yeah, I was thinking 3 as well, but I really think if we have a quick start, I think the proverbial floodgates could open. I think the team talk before the game. I think
that'd be so good. Oh my gosh, that'd be so good.
Their defence and their forward line just is like getting me excited.
Look, let's face it. The game at theirs last season, that was it for us, wasn't it, in the league? And there's probably still a bit of bad, although everything's been very positive this season. I think Arteta will use that a bit to motivate the players. He always seems like he wants to come up with new ways to motivate them, talking about new scenarios, new things that have happened. And I think he'll use that game to really fire them up. And I think that although I'm thinking 3, I think we could score more than that. But I'll go for 4-1.
Yeah. I agree with that, and sometimes you don't need to because it's already been written from the season before. Like I think the Brentford game, they was asking him, "Have you got any ideas of how to motivate the team this time?" And I was thinking, you don't need to. The motivation is the fact that you got your ass handed to this team at their ground last season. Don't let it happen again. We don't want those headlines written again. And this is 3 points that would have made a difference for last season. So those are all team talks that write themselves. And I think this one does as well. Look, feel free to get all or nothing in for this one episode and get Stuart McFarlane in just for this. Because I tell you what, mate, that got me buzzing. That had me.
I still ain't seen it. I still ain't seen it. I ain't got time.
Oh, Steve, you've got to watch it. That bit there especially is like it's every fan's dream. And he was first and foremost, he's a fan. That's the best thing. He's a fan. Look, everyone loves Stuart McFarlane. That's why he's got like over 200k followers because like everyone likes to see his photos that might not be on the site. But he said it himself. I'm a fan. And as soon as he said that, he started choking up and he was like, I got you, Stu. I got you, Stu. Oh, mate, honestly, I've got to watch it. That there, like people take the mick out of Mikel Arteta for throwing ideas, but I like the fact that he's throwing ideas. Yes, some things didn't work, and some things did. That worked. So yeah, no, I've got a lot of time for it. For it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everyone who's joined us tonight. I see Johnny in there, I see Melvin in there, I see Simon in there. I think I saw Stephen in there as well. I did see Stephen in there. Good to see you there, Stephen. Please press that like, subscribe, and press that share button. quickly, Steve, give us who's going to score for Arsenal? Were you 3-0?
I think Jesus is going to get a couple,
Mm-hmm.
and this I'm going for Saliba. I think Saliba's going to get another one.
I think if Saliba scores in this one, I think he's going to be like a cult legend. Like, I don't think he'll be able to do anything.
I'm getting goose pimples here with you speaking on the cues. You should be one of these people on the, who does the old introduction to one of these things there. Look, goose pimples on the arms.
Jerome, give us your goal scorers before we go.
Yeah. Hey, again, Steve, Jesus will score a couple. I think Gabriel will score, and Saka.
All right. I mean, what a game. I'm buzzing already. All right, make sure you join us straight up. It's Tuesday. I know it's way too early. Make sure you join us for the post-match reaction straight after the game. Please press that like and subscribe. Appreciate your support. Thank you there, Stephen. Love the support, mate. Loving that you're sharing the show as well. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Oh, gosh, I can't find the button. And wash your hands.